everyone, welcome back to Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 223 and today's topic is the Hongdae area. So have you been to the Hongdae area? I've been to this area quite a number of times. I remember back in 2002, we did talk about the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, and I was either in the Hongdae area or of course the Gangnam area, cheering for the national soccer team. So, it's a place that's frequented by a lot of people, all different kinds of people, including students who go to school in that area. Now, the name was given, of course, it was from the name of the university, which is called Hongik University. And this area is home to a lot of different kinds of cultures, I guess. There's the urban arts, indie music culture. There's also lots of clubs and various entertainments. So it really is an interesting place to spend time in. Okay, are you ready? Let's get started then.
I love going to Hongdae when I get the chance, and there's lots of things I like about it. I like sort of its, vast array of different shops and
Right, I haven't been there in a
shops.
while, but every time I go, it seems like there's something new.
Right, well, it's ever changing, isn't it?
Right.
It's continuously changing into something else, or some shops changing into some coffee shop.
Right, and every place has its own little personality.
Yeah.
And lots of the little back alleys, you can kind of wander around, always find little treasures.
That's it. I love those back alleys. I love sort of
Right.
getting lost in them.
Right.
Because it feels different, doesn't it? Because I mean, a lot of the streets and roads in Korea are quite large, but I find the ones in Hongdae, or certainly parts of Hongdae, very narrow and very small.
Almost feel more like a sidewalk, right?
Right,
And you
absolutely.
find a place and you fall in love with it, and then it's almost like you can't get sick of it sometimes because you can't find it again. And then when you do stumble upon it again, it's like a nice surprise.
So do you enjoy going to Hongdae?
Yes, I do. I haven't been much recently, but or at night I haven't been much. I've gone during the day quite a bit, and I do miss a little bit of that artistic vibe. It seems to have lost a bit of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just sort of thinking about that before. I reminisce sometimes when I first came to Korea, and I really enjoyed sort of hanging out in those art areas.
Right.
But they seem to be replaced by coffee shops.
I know, and sometimes really commercial franchise
Yeah.
coffee shops rather than the unique little privately owned.
But I think overall, it still has that sort of vibe which is different to other places. So I think I'm not going to strike it off my to-do list yet. Because
Right.
I think it's a great place to go to.
Right.
Now, before we take a look into the conversation between Mary and Eugene, just wanted to point this out. Did you know that many well-known bands, Korean bands, such as Chaorim, Crying Nut, and even the Peppertones, started out on the street? They actually started out as indie bands, so that's some new information if you were not aware of that. Okay, then let's take a closer look at what Eugene and Mary said in the conversation. Here we go. Eugene says, I love going to Hongdae. You can also say, I love going to the Hongdae area when I get the chance. And there's lots of things I like about it. So there are lots of things or many things he likes about it, meaning the Hongdae area. I like its vast array of different shops and coffee shops. Now, this is one of our patterns for today. A vast array of something. When you want to talk about a large display of something or a wide arrangement of something, yes, make use of a vast array of. So in other words, he's saying, I like its many different shops and many different coffee shops. I like its vast array of different shops and coffee shops. Now, Mary says, I haven't been there in a while, which means she has been to the Hongdae area, but it's been quite some time since she's last visited. But every time I go, it seems like there's something new. So she's mentioning that the Hongdae area is ever changing. There are, changes every single time she goes, so it feels brand new and very different. Now, Eugene says, well, it's ever-changing. As I mentioned, it's ever-changing, meaning changing continuously. It changes and changes and changes. It's continuously changing into something else. So he spells it out, okay? So he says it's ever-changing, meaning it's continuously changing into something else. Here we go, Mary says, and every place has its own little personality. Meaning what? You may say, personality, isn't that very much like characteristics of people? Well, yes, but a street can have its own personality. In other words, it has its own feel, okay? So she's saying every place in the Hongdae area has its own personality, okay? Every single place is unique. They all have their different characteristics, okay? And lots of the little back alleys, okay? You may know what an alley is. It's like a narrow passageway or a narrow street. But when you say back alley, we're talking about these narrow streets that run especially between buildings or behind buildings. So they're hidden streets or hidden alleys, okay? You can kind of wander around, just walk around, okay? And always find little treasures, okay? What is a treasure? Of course, diamonds, whatever, pirates. They search for treasures here and there. But we're talking about something that is very valuable or very rare. A person can be a treasure if that person is very special in his or her own way, or an object can be a treasure as well. So once again, when you say that somebody or something is a treasure, you're saying that he or she or it is very valuable in its own way or very rare, hard to find. Here we go. I love those back alleys. I love getting lost in them because it feels different, doesn't it? Getting lost. Yeah. I did mention that I often get lost in the Myeongdong area, okay? Because there are so many back alleys and narrow streets that I often get lost. It means you have no idea where you are, okay? You have difficulty finding a place. You may get lost and never be able to find the place you are trying to get to. So he's saying, I love getting lost in them. So perhaps what he is saying is, he's not talking about, getting lost as in not able to find a certain place, but he's saying getting lost in a way that he kind of discovers a different feel, okay? He finds himself in a different place, all right? And then he says, because a lot of the streets and roads in Korea are quite large, but I find the ones in parts of Hongdae, ones meaning the streets in parts of Hongdae, what? They are very narrow and very small, okay? So he's talking about the many large streets everywhere across Korea, or all these different locations, but especially in the Hongdae area, you will find a lot of these back alleys and narrow streets, and you tend to get lost. Almost feels more like a sidewalk, right? So what is a sidewalk? A sidewalk is, I guess, a street for pedestrians to walk on the side of the street, okay? So a sidewalk is a road for pedestrians, for people that are walking. And then she says, and you find a place and you fall in love with it. You can fall in love with a thing, okay? You love it. And then she says, you can't get sick of it. Get sick of something means what? When you see so much of the same thing, or when you spend too much time with the same person, when everything is kind of repeated over and over and over again, you get used to it. But when you have too much of it, you can get sick of it. So once you get sick of something, you may not want to experience it ever again, okay? It's not new anymore. And then she says, because you can't find it again. You cannot find it again. So let's go over this part again. She says, you find a place, okay? You find a place and you fall in love with it, okay? So we're talking about a certain place that you discover. And then she says, you cannot get sick of it. You will keep loving that place because you cannot find it again. And then when you do stumble upon it again, it's like a nice surprise. When you stumble upon something or someone, let's say it can mean to encounter or come across. It can also mean to find or discover. So you can stumble upon something, which means to discover something, okay, by chance especially. And then she says it's like a nice surprise. It's a nice surprise to find new places and new things, right? So here's a question. Eugene says, do you enjoy going to Hongdae? And Mary says, yes, I do. At night, I haven't been much recently. So she's been to the Hongdae area during the daytime and nighttime, but she hasn't been to the Hongdae area at night recently. I've gone during the day quite a bit, and I do miss a little bit of the artistic vibe. It's a very artsy neighborhood. It's a very artsy street. They have that very urban, artsy feel to it, or that vibe. Vibe, we're talking about a feel or a mood, for example. So she's saying that she misses a lot of the artistic feelings that she gets when she goes to the area. She misses the artistic mood or the artistic vibe. It seems to have lost a bit of that. It seems to have lost a bit of that. So what is she saying? What she's implying is that before, maybe a year ago, let's say, there used to be a lot of unique things and a very strong artistic vibe. But nowadays, it's not as artistic as before. So she's kind of making a comparison. She's simply saying it used to be very, very artistic, but not so much anymore. Here we go. Eugene says, I agree with you. I reminisce when I first came to Korea, and I really enjoyed hanging out in those art areas. But they seem to be replaced by coffee shops. So the word we have for you is reminisce. Reminisce. What does to reminisce mean? Okay, reminisce. Think about R-E. Okay, this word starts with an R-E, which in most cases means to do something over again. Okay, it has that again meaning to it. So reminisce means to think about past events or past experiences, okay? You think about the past. So he's saying, I think about the past, okay, when I first came to Korea. So he's reminding himself of what it used to be when he first came and how he enjoyed hanging out in those areas, spending time with his friends, or even just walking around, going to clubs. But they seem to be replaced by coffee shops. So this is the point. He's saying there were many, many unique things to do, unique places, for example, but many of those unique places seem to have disappeared. They're no longer there. Why? Because they have been replaced by coffee shops, meaning coffee shops are where these unique places used to be. Okay, which is true. You do see a lot of coffee shops in that area, right? Not only the Hongdae area, but coffee shops are spread across the city. Here we go. Mary says, I know. And sometimes really commercial franchise coffee shops. That's right. I think in Hongdae especially, you will come across a lot of small coffee shops that are run by just individuals, right? They're very unique in their own way. But you may be seeing more and more of these franchise coffee shops. I think we also call them chains, right? Okay, chains, coffee shop chains, rather than the unique little privately owned coffee shops. So she's saying sometimes you may see more of these franchise coffee shops compared to unique privately owned coffee shops. Okay? And then here we go, moving on. Eugene says, but I think overall, generally, it still has that vibe. It still does have that artistic vibe, which is different to other places. So I think I'm not going to strike it off my to-do list yet. Or I guess you can say to-go list, okay? To-do list is more of a list of things that shall be done, okay? You may write a list or, write down a list or keep a list of things you have to do. That is what we call a to-do list, things to do. If you want to write down a list of places to go, that can be called a to-go list. So you can say to-go list as well. Anyhow, the point is, he is not going to strike it off his to-do list. Strike off means to mark off, especially if you write a list, and if you strike something off, it means to mark it off. Okay, cross it out. And then he says, because I think it's a great place to go to. Yes, it really is an interesting place to go to. It's one of the places I would take my friends that are visiting from overseas. It's a very different feel. There's very strong artistic value and artistic mood or vibe that people can experience. So, here we go. Let's take a listen to the conversation one more time.
I love going to Hongdae when I get the chance. And there's lots of things I like about it. I like sort of its, vast array of different shops and
Right. I haven't been there in
shops.
a while, but every time I go, it seems like there's something new.
Right. Well, it's ever changing, isn't it?
Right.
It's continuously changing into something else, or some shops changing into some coffee shop.
Right. And every place has its own little personality.
Yeah.
And lots of the little back alleys, you can kind of wander around, always find little treasures.
That's it. I love those back alleys. I love sort of
Right.
getting lost in them.
Right.
Because it feels different, doesn't it? Because I mean, a lot of the streets and roads in Korea are quite large, but I find the ones in Hongdae, or certainly parts of Hongdae, very narrow and very small.
Almost feel more like a sidewalk, right?
Right,
And you
absolutely.
find a place and you fall in love with it, and then it's almost like you can't get sick of it sometimes because you can't find it again. And then when you do stumble upon it again, it's like a nice surprise.
So do you enjoy going to Hongdae?
Yes, I do. I haven't been much recently, but or at night I haven't been much. I've gone during the day quite a bit, and I do miss a little bit of that artistic vibe. It seems to have lost a bit of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just sort of thinking about that before. I reminisce sometimes when I first came to Korea, and I really enjoyed sort of hanging out in those art areas.
Right.
But they seem to be replaced by coffee shops.
I know, and sometimes really commercial franchise
Yeah.
coffee shops rather than the unique little privately owned.
But I think overall, it still has that sort of vibe which is different to other places. So I think I'm not going to strike it off my to-do list yet. Because
Right.
I think it's a great place to go to.
Right.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for actual expressions. Okay, let's take a look at some vocab words and some phrases. Back alley is what? Back alley. You can say alley or back alley, specifically if you're talking about these very narrow paths between or behind buildings, those hidden streets. So they can be called narrow streets as well. What is a treasure? Of course, we're talking about a person or a thing that is very valuable or even rare, meaning hard to find. So, we've talked about hidden gem, right? A treasure can be called a hidden gem as well. Sidewalk. The stress goes on the first syllable. A sidewalk is also called a pavement, walkway, or even footpath. So, remember, a sidewalk is a path for pedestrians on the side of the street or road where cars usually drive along. Moving on to our next list, we've got vibe. I told you it means ambience, mood, or even atmosphere. So we were talking about how the Hongdae area has this artistic vibe, right? And then finally we have reminisce. Now, be careful when you pronounce this word. It's a tricky word to pronounce. The stress goes on the last syllable. Reminisce. Reminisce. One more time. Reminisce. It means to remember, recollect, look back. Okay? So you're thinking about past experiences and past memories. All right? You can also go over your memory, which means to reminisce. Now let's move on to our patterns for today. The first one is vast array of something, which means a wide variety of something, all right? A large display of something, or a wide or large arrangement of something. So here is a sentence. You'll find a vast array of clubs and pubs in the area. Let's try it one more time together. You'll find a vast array of clubs and pubs in the area. You all know what a club is. What exactly is a pub? Well, many of you may know, but when you want to talk about, let's say, one of those places that we call 호프, right? A place we go to have draft beer especially, it would be safe to call them pubs to foreigners. They will understand you like that, okay? So those places are called pubs. Usually at a pub, you will have bands playing music, okay? And people usually enjoy drinking beer or some other drinks at these pubs. Moving on, stumble across, stumble on, or stumble upon something or someone, okay? So you can say stumble across, stumble on, or stumble upon something or even someone, okay? It means to find by chance or to encounter, come across or bump into somebody as well. Here's a sentence. I stumbled across a really good book. Where? At the used bookstore the other day. So, what are we saying? I stumbled across a really good book, which means you found a really good book. You weren't planning to, but you by chance found a really, really good book at a used bookstore. Okay? All right, moving on. We've got strike something off of something. Strike something off. Strike something off of something. We were talking about how Eugene was not going to strike the Hongdae area off his to-do list or to-go list, right? Okay, strike off means to mark off, all right, or to cross out. Here we go. I'm going to strike Anna's name off my guest list. You can make use of strike something off in many cases, especially, let's say you are creating or putting together a guest list. People you want to invite to a party, a wedding perhaps, any event. And in most cases, we write a list of names, right? We write down the names of people we want to invite. But in this case, it means I wrote down Anna's name. Anna is written on paper, but if I say I'm going to strike Anna's name off my guest list, it means, maybe I won't invite Anna. So I'll strike her name off. I'll erase her name from the list or mark her name off or cross her name out. Yes, that's another way of putting it. Here we go. I'm going to strike Anna's name off my guest list. Or you can also say I'm going to strike off Anna's name from my guest list. Okay? All right, everyone, please do go over these patterns more on your own. That's a wrap.
To most foreigners, Hongdae is known for its vibrant nightlife. It's a great place to go to clubs and party and eat great food. But to me, it's a prime location for all things young, new, and trendy. Because it's situated around Hongik University, which is an art university, it has a really unique and fun atmosphere. On any given day, you can listen to indie bands, see b-boy battles, or even watch artists draw caricatures right outside on the streets. On the weekends, you can go to the children's park and attend the artisan market that they have there. So the students sell their handmade crafts and goods. And I think it's just one of those things that make Hongdae a really unique and fun place to visit.
Thanks for helping us out, Alex. All right, that was his response, and he's mentioned that Hongdae is a great place to go to clubs, it's a great place to go to party, and also eat great food. Okay, let's check out what he's also mentioned. To most foreigners, Hongdae is known for its vibrant nightlife. An area can be known for something, which means it is popular for something. So Hongdae is known for a vibrant nightlife, or its vibrant nightlife. Hongdae is popular for its vibrant nightlife. Vibrant means what? Full of energy, exciting, and nightlife are the activities, the fun things you can do at night, which would include going to clubs or bars or parties, for example. Okay, now what else has he said? It has a really unique and fun atmosphere. You can also use the word vibe here. Okay, we went over vibe, which also means atmosphere or ambiance. It has a really unique and fun vibe or fun atmosphere. Moving on to our final one. On any given day. On any given day, what does that mean? It means on any day, no matter when. Okay, no matter when you go, you can listen to indie bands and also see b-boy battles. I've never seen any b-boy battles in the area, but I have been to a few clubs, so you can really enjoy some bands such as indie bands, underground bands that are not yet popular, but who knows, they may become very popular like Chaorim, Crying Nut, and the Peppertones, right? Okay, that is a wrap for today's actual story.
To most foreigners, Hongdae is known for its vibrant nightlife. It's a great place to go to clubs and party and eat great food. But to me, it's a prime location for all things young, new, and trendy. Because it's situated around Hongik University, which is an art university, it has a really unique and fun atmosphere. On any given day, you can listen to indie bands, see b-boy battles, or even watch artists draw caricatures right outside on the streets. On the weekends, you can go to the children's park and attend the artisan market that they have there. So the students sell their handmade crafts and goods. And I think it's just one of those things that make Hongdae a really unique and fun place to visit.
So today we talked about the Hongdae area, and I hope that you found today's lesson very helpful. The next time you go to Hongdae or the Hongdae area, make sure to check out all these wonderful places, unique places hidden in the back alleys. You can also go to the Children's Park, which is a playground that's, I believe, right in front of the Hongik University front entrance or front gate. When you go there, you will find an artisan market where a lot of students and artists, they sell their own goods. They make certain products, they may draw caricatures for you, and students even sell their artwork in that area. It's a fun place to visit as well. Okay, next time let's talk about another popular place visited by a lot of Koreans too nowadays. Yeah, let's take you to Itaewon, okay? In the meantime, what you can do is come to our homepage, everyone. Come on over to www.ebse.co.kr. And of course, look for Actual English with Jennifer. Share your thoughts with us on our message board. That's a wrap for today. I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.